Some villages are built on stone, others on stories. Marrowgate was made of both, but it was hunger that bound them. Hunger in the soil, in the silence, in the eyes of the children who no longer asked. When winters grew long and grain wagons ceased to come, people stopped speaking of spring. At the edge of this fading village stood a narrow cottage of blackened brick and brittle ivy. It belonged to Liora, a baker once known for laughter, now known only for smoke. Her oven, lit each morning before light, had not gone out since the last frost took her husband and child. It was during the cruelest season, when snow dared not melt even by the hearth, that she found the boy. His name was Elior, though he never offered it. She found him curled beneath her empty flour sacks, his skin cracked from cold, lips blue but breathing. He looked up as if expecting a blow. Instead, she gave him crusts. He stayed. She never asked where he came from. He never asked why she didn't send him away. Some mornings they would knead together in silence, their fingers dusted in flour and the memory of better days. He learned quickly, faster than her own son once had, and though his eyes held something dark and unspoken, his hands shaped the softest loaves. In time, the village whispered. They said she harbored a thief, a deserter's child, a curse in flesh. She said nothing. The boy said less. But every dawn, the fire rose. The hunger in Marrowgate had many mouths, but only one of them would be punished for it. The soldiers came with frost on their shoulders and law in their boots. They spoke in clipped tones, reading from worn papers, looking not at people but through them, as if the villagers were ghosts in their own homes. Bread had vanished from the barracks store. A small thing, some said, a crust, a ration. But in war, even a crust could mean betrayal. Elior was not caught, not questioned, not chased. He was named. That was enough. No one asked who'd seen him do it. No one needed to. The truth had become whatever quieted the whip of authority. Liora watched from behind her curtain, her knuckles white with flour. The fire behind her hissed. Elior stood outside her door when they came, coat too thin for the snow, face too calm for the moment. He kissed her hand, left warm ash in her palm. Then he followed them without a word. The baker's oven glowed late into that night. Its flames licked the stone like a prayer. She baked until dawn, not for customers, not for coin, just to remember the sound of bread rising. The village slept, uneasy. And outside, where the crossroad met the crows, the gallows were already being built. They gathered at the crossroad, the place where three paths met and none led home. Snow fell soft, like regret. No wind, no birds, only the rope, swaying gently above a frozen mound of earth. Elior stood in thin shoes, eyes clearer than the sky. He did not plead. He did not curse. He only watched the horizon, where morning tried to crawl through gray. The priest read from a book no one believed in anymore. The executioner checked the knot twice, not from care, but from habit. Liora stood far back, hidden in her shawl, her breath fogging like spirit smoke. In her pocket, a piece of rye, the last loaf he had shaped. She could still smell it. When the rope pulled, someone in the crowd gasped, not from horror, but because it felt like an ending. Yet for Liora, something opened, not closed. As the snow thickened, she turned away, not looking back. Her legs moved slowly, as if carrying years. But in her heart, a quiet decision had already kindled. The fire would not die. In the weeks after the hanging, silence fermented in Marrowgate like spoiled milk. Children walked faster past Liora's home. Men stopped buying bread. Women whispered that the fire was cursed. that she baked in mourning, not mercy. Still, each morning, her chimney smoked. Loaves lined her wooden table by dawn, their scent curling into the frost-bitten air. She left them outside the chapel, beside doorsteps on broken fences. No one touched them, except one. Old Abram, the blind soldier who hadn't walked since the river campaign, was found one morning chewing slowly on her rye by the forge. He said it tasted like memory, like something worth surviving for. One by one, others came. Quiet, ashamed, always under dark. A mother with cracked hands, a boy missing a boot. A mason who hadn't worked since the harvest failed. None spoke Elior's name, but they tasted him in every bite. By the first thaw, Liora's shelves were empty each morning. She never charged. She never answered the knock. Only the fire spoke, with warmth, with smoke, with the scent of bread rising like a prayer not yet denied. Years passed like water slipping through a cracked basin. The war ended, or so they said. Peace came not as a trumpet, but a sigh. One spring morning, a man in a weathered green coat arrived in Marrowgate. He wore medals like forgotten sins and eyes that remembered too much. His name was General Routh. Few recognized him, but Liora did. He was the man who gave the order, the one who nodded when Elior was led away. He hadn't flinched then. Now his hands trembled over a slice of her bread. He asked if she remembered him. She didn't answer. He told her the soldiers found grain in a nobleman's cart days later, grain meant for the poor, stolen by the rich. Elior had not taken it. He never had. The truth had come too late, as it often does. Ruth took a single crumb from her plate and wept, not like a child, but like an old man drowning in what he couldn't undo. Liora offered him another slice. He refused. "I came to starve," he said, "not to be forgiven." But she left the bread anyway, warm and waiting. Even when the village prospered again, the chimney never stopped. Some called it stubbornness, others a ritual, but no one asked her to stop. Children who once ran from her door now lined up in spring with empty hands. Each loaf had no price, only warmth. When asked why she still baked, Liora would only smile, a tired private curve of the lips, and say, "Because the fire is not mine to put out." She no longer heard Elior's voice, but she felt him in the dough, in the way the crust split open, golden and soft, in the silence between each batch. She grew slower. Her hair turned to flour, but the flame remained steady, even on the nights she forgot her own name. And still, the bread rose. On the coldest morning of her final winter, the villagers found no smoke from Liora's chimney. The oven, for the first time in decades, slept. Inside, she was gone. Her hands folded, her apron still dusted with flour. On the table, a single loaf, perfectly baked, still warm. They buried her beside the crossroads, not far from where Elior had fallen. No priest, no speech, only bread. Every year since, someone, no one knows who, leaves a loaf on her grave, always fresh, always warm. And from the earth beneath, even in frost, rises the faint scent of ash and crust, as if the fire, like the memory of mercy, had never truly gone out.